Hi, good afternoon, good day. Kevin Alfsey of Action Coach Texas, interviewing Leonard Robinson. Leonard is the CEO of Robinson International. Leonard's learned a lot of lessons along the way, and he's graciously agreed to go ahead and abundantly share with the marketplace, other business owners. Hey, here's the lessons learned. Here's the secrets to success, and for all of you to learn and apply whatever might make sense in your business. So, Leonard, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for the invite. Glad to be here.
Welcome. So, and as I mentioned, Leonard, we'll go through a half dozen questions or so. It's all about sharing what is it you've learned and what insight you've gained for others. So, first question is, what do you attribute your growth to? What do you attribute your growth to, Leonard?
I attribute, Kevin, my growth to my beliefs. Working, your own company and getting involved with it to the point to where you want it to grow. You have to be humble and you have to listen. I think a lot of us as business owners, sometimes we go through the process of we know it all, we know what to do, and we take feedback as criticism. And I think that's the one thing that I've tried not to do. I mean, I take information, rather be good or bad, and I use it to my advantage. And I think that's what, really attributes to my growth is that I'm not only am I learning about my business, but I'm learning about people. I'm learning about different opportunities. And I think as long as you take every conversation as information and you don't take it as negative, feedback, you're learning, and that's how you continue to grow. But as far as Robinson International, we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to have an open ear and be humble and understanding, what coaching is about, rather be life or business.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you. So as you reflect upon your business, what makes your business unique, Leonard? And why do customers or clients choose your business over others in the marketplace?
I think what makes Robinson International unique is that my goal is to be relatable to whatever the situation may be. I think it's very important that when you're speaking with somebody, you don't have to really speak at their level, Kevin, but you have to speak at a level to where they can connect with you. And then there's some type of comparison of, hey, yeah, I've gone through that. I understand that. How did you feel about it? And it allows you to give you that emotional intelligence to where you can start deciphering things within that individual. Because we all, we see things a little bit differently because we're human. But at the same time, as being a coach, you have to be honest enough with yourself to sit back and listen. Because normally when you're having conversations, they're telling you the problem. They're telling you the situation. And all you're doing is giving them a path to find that, that answer or to find that holy grail that they're looking for. So for me, I mean, it's all about that connection. It's all about, relating and relatability. And I think that's really what solidifies the meet between the clients and myself.
And from talking with you earlier this afternoon, I have to say it sounds like you probably do a very authentic connection.
Yes, and that's why I when you're in corporate America, and what really motivated me, Kevin, is my connection that I had with some of the people that I mentored, and I still have strong relationships. I can go back 20 years and I can call some of my former employees and supervisors and managers that work for me, and they'll say, Leonard, thank you. And then I say, what do you mean, thank you? And they'll say, thank you for your mentorship. Thanking you for being patient. Thank you for just being the person that you are and being true. I mean, I learned a long time ago that, there's no gray, there's black and white. Either you're doing it or you're not doing it. And taking away that gray and being very transparent, people feel more comfortable with that because you're not just giving them, a pill for them to take to get the headache, away from you. You're giving them something that's going to give them long-term, relief and give them some guidance that's going to help them get, through the path.
So it reminds me of Yoda. Yoda said to Luke, there's no try, there's do or not do.
There's do or not do. I mean, and that's it. I mean, there's no in between. I mean,
Exactly.
And you have to look at it like that. I mean, you're successful in action coaching, and either you're, like I said, don't confuse movement with progress, So, and I think we all have to look at it like that. I mean, we can all go out and chop a whole bunch of trees down, but if you're not making any firewood, it does you no good. So you're just getting yourself wore out. So it's about the focus.
Amen. Well said. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So as you reflect back upon your years of building a business, if you had to start from square one and starting your business, Leonard, how would you do it differently? What would you do differently?
I would be calling Kevin and saying, Kevin, what did you do? Seriously, I mean, I think that's some of the homework that I failed to do. I failed to reach out to some of the professionals that have been doing it and have been doing it well. You know, I used to work for Walmart several years ago and had the opportunity to meet with the late Sam Walton.
Wow.
And he told me the story about, Walmart, right? He said he wanted to go and create Walmart. So he went into a Woolworth store and he looked around Woolworth and he said, I didn't look at what Woolworth was doing wrong. I looked at what Woolworth was doing right. And that's been embedded in my head my entire career, is that you never look at anybody to say what they're doing wrong to make yourself look better, but you go and you try to find out what they're doing good. And you bring that type of culture and you bring that type of vision into your company and you flourish on it. So I learned that, just by, having that brief conversation with him in his overalls and his baseball cap, and not really knowing the magnitude of Sam Walton, but actually having the opportunity to hear from one of our greatest retail leaders, ever. And I take that with me, is the fact that, something I would have done different again is contact, people that's been doing it, asking them questions, what was your first struggles? I mean, how did you break into the business? Those type of things. And it takes a lot of being humble. I think when you open up your own company, you get this, we talked about this earlier, this ego that, hey, you got it all figured out and you're doing your data analysis and you're going to the website and you're pulling up information. But the lack of information that you're getting is speaking to the individuals, speaking to the professionals, and even just asking a brief question or sending an email.
So. Definitely. I'll throw this one in there. We talked again, as you are talking before the official interview started. One of the things I learned from one of my mentors many years ago is that ego stands for edging God out. So always be mindful of allowing ego to creep into your behavior, your thinking, and your actions, reactions, or willingness to learn from others. So thank you for bringing up ego. Thank you. Yeah. So as you think about the lessons, what have been your biggest lessons as an employer? You employed people over the years. You've had a lot of different roles. What have been your biggest lessons about being an employer?
I think, my biggest lesson that I've learned is that culture is very important. I think a lot of companies have they have their, culture that they go by. They have their mission statements that they live by. And I think the one biggest thing that I learned is that you have to understand that. You have to understand what that culture is like. You have to understand what that mission statement for that organization is like, because I know a lot of times we take jobs and we don't really look at the surface, and we don't look at the inside of what makes the company, work, and how they think and the mentality. What I've learned is that, sometimes you have to be quiet. You have to sit still. You have to sit back and you have to listen. You have to learn. Even this new position I've just recently taken, you learn how to step back from yourself and you listen to others and you hear, some of the things that, that the company's doing, and it motivates you, in a direction to where you want to be a part of it. So I've learned to kind of step back a little bit, even at my level, and just talk to people and find out, why are you working here? Why do you like it? What makes you wake up in the morning? What motivates you to come to work every day? And connecting with that team, and that was the biggest value that I think, and I'll say this, the biggest value that I've gotten out of being an employer is connecting with my team. I mean, again, we talk about that ego. I leave it outside because it does me no good. I mean, I've always told people that we're all at the same level. We just have different responsibilities. And I don't want anybody to think that when I walk into a conference room that they should be afraid of me or not want to talk to me or engage in a conversation. I want to be open for my team. And that's what's part of being a great leader, is making yourself available and not being intimidating, but at the same time being honest and having high integrity.
That goes a million miles, honest and high integrity. It really does.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So a challenge a lot of owners have got is around the next question. And as Leonard, as you reflect, how do you balance your personal life with the demands of the business?
And we talked about this, Kevin. I put God first. God leads my steps. I mean, I again, you know, I firmly believe that everything I do has purpose, and the things that I've been afforded to do in life have only been blessings from God. So I don't allow me to get ahead of myself. I allow my balance with work, you know, and I always go to God and, you know, and ask God to give me wisdom and help me with situations to where, you know, you don't get stressed out, because that balance comes from the fact that you know, you got, you know, you're one-sided, right? You're at either point to where you feel like you're overworked, you know, or you feel like you're not progressing in your career, and you try to get that balance, and then you throw that mixture of family in there, right? But my focus has always been God, family, and work, you know, and I keep those things very near and dear to me. And even when I take on new responsibilities, I explain it with my employer. You know, I truly believe that, hey, my balance comes from, you know, God. You know, he guides me and directs me, so that's my number one priority, and my family second. And I said, and my job will become third. And I said, it's not the fact that I'm, you know, looking down at my job, but the number one and number two are the components that make me, and I have to stay strong in my beliefs with those.
Amen. Well said. Well said. And thank you for sharing your priorities and how and why and what it's done for you. Thank you, Leonard.
Thank you, sir.
So as you think about the folks you've hired over the years, what qualities do you look for in employees, and how do you cover this a little bit, how do you foster a positive and productive work environment?
You know, I won't use the cliche of leading by example, because I think it's overused.
Yeah.
But I will say that when I look for, you know, employees, or I'm doing an interview, or I'm hiring, I'm looking for people that have high energy. I'm looking for character in that individual. I also listen to the behavior questions in regards to integrity. I'm very strong on integrity. I truly believe that when I have someone in front of me and we're having or engaging in a conversation, I'd like to validate, you know, what type of person they are. I think for the security of the company and the branding of any organization, you need to know the integrity of that individual, and you have to ask those questions that, you tell me about a time when you had an incident, or you ever been involved with a conflict, and how did you manage that conflict? I ask them those type of questions because I don't want them to take a page out of the "yes, I've done that before" book. I want them to tell me about what happened. I want them to, articulate to me the situation and how did they handle it. And once I get those key, notes down that I look for, and again, I'm not the expert. I just know from my experience what that brings back to the team. When you have someone with high integrity, you have someone that's, can definitely, has a skill base that they can do the job, and you allow them the freedom to go out there and do it. But at first, you've got to give them the training, and you always want to have somebody that's trainable and someone that's adaptable. And I look for that with any new employee.
Those are great character qualities for certain.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I look for those within myself, and I push myself as a leader to make sure I'm doing it. I can't ask others to do it if I don't do it myself.
That is so true. Lead from the front, lead from example, or lead by example.
Yes, sir.
Last question we got is, what are the common misconceptions about running a business, and how do you address them? So what are the common misconceptions, Leonard, about running a business, and how do you handle them?
I think several people think it's easy. I think they wake up in the morning and they come up with these great ideas and they say, hey, I'm going to open up a business. And the biggest misconception is that it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. There's a difference between running a business and growing a business, understanding the business, understanding the client, understanding the responsibilities, understanding the coaching, mentoring, developing others to do what you want them to do and to create a culture that is a representation of your brand. You can be a sole proprietor of a company and do it your way. And if you mess up, you mess up, and you're the only one up crying over the spilled milk. But when you have other responsibilities, and the one thing that I looked at in my entire life is that I never looked at my job and just said, okay, I have 1,000 people that work for me. I looked at my job and said, I have 1,000 people that have 4 people in their family that's counting on that 1,000 to bring food home, to provide for them. So it's my responsibility to make sure I'm the best leader I can be to continue to provide that lifestyle for those individuals and to grow new individuals. So, and like I said, I told you a little bit earlier about my book, and I put it all in my book, Heal. And I put this book out about 2 years ago, Kevin, and it has been an inspiration for me. And it was designed to be just a short read. It's not a big book, but it's a book that has mindful insights on issues that we go through in life and we go in business. And that's really, it really helps out myself, because sometimes I have to go and read my own book and go back and reassess, am I doing what I said I'm doing? So not only as being a coach, but also being a student. So I feel blessed for all that.
Amen. So curious, Leonard, where can folks get that book?
You can get this book on Amazon. You can get it at eBooks on Walmart. It's also available through my publishing company, through Dorrance Publishing. It's $11. It's not a very expensive book. I tell you what, it has been such a blessing for God to give me that opportunity to put these words on a piece of paper.
Amen. Amen. Leonard, any last words of wisdom you'd like to share with the business community?
I would like to share with everyone that's listening is the fact that don't be afraid. There's going to be challenges in anything you do in business and in life. The one thing that I'll tell you is you have to have faith. You have to know that things are above and bigger than you. And again, regardless of what your beliefs are, you have to understand one thing. God is alive and God lives. And we have to live for his glory. And we have to start living a better life than we're living right now. And we can always improve. And coaching is a part of that improvement. It's a part of healing. And I think when you take the responsibility, whether you're a life coach, business coach, or you're going to seek that type of, assistance in whatever you're struggling through, you have to be mindful that, hey, God has a purpose for you, and it's never for you to fail. There's always an open door for you.
Amen. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I'd ask that question. So
thank you for having me. Definitely appreciate the time. Definitely looking forward, to more talks with you, and God bless you.
Thank you as well, Leonard. God be with you. Thank you.
Thank you.